Hi everyone, this is Chef Alex Ibouye. Bath cheesecake is very traditional pastry. The goal is to make it very creamy and not too sweet. Its crunchy layer at the bottom will perfectly balance the softness of this cheesecake. The flavor is just vanilla, however it can be changed to any kinds of flavor. In our masterclass of French pastry, we'll teach you from classic flavor to modern, original style of our own. So today we are gonna introduce you the Bath cheesecake. We have reviewed the recipe to make it very special only for you. Let me introduce you what is the composition of this special recipe. First of all, at the bottom, we have a very specific types of crunch to get some very crunchy texture and to get the nice balance between the creaminess of the cheesecake and the crunchiness at the bottom of this product. So if you are ready, let's get started. This recipe is quite simple, so you can easily redo it at home with the same technique as I'm gonna teach you right now. For this recipe of Bath cheesecake, we're gonna use a 6-inch ring, so pretty simple to find it everywhere. And we'll cover with aluminum foil on the side. And also the specificity of this one, to unmold it easily, we have a specific brown Japanese sheet to put it inside, and it will be easier for the baking process. For the first part of our recipe, we are gonna do the crunch. In this recipe, it is composed of 2 different parts. The first one is the base of the crunch, which is the sablé. It is composed of butter, and then we have mixed all the powders together, which is almond powder, flours, baking powder, and sugar. So this is for the first part of the recipe. The second part of the recipe, after we bake and cool down and crush the sablé, it is composed with crunchy feuilletine, some soft butter, and of course some white chocolate. That will give you a new types of crunch and will spread out into our ring, and then lay it set and ready for the next step. For the first part of the sablé, we're gonna use a KitchenAid bowl and the paddle attachment. However, if at home you don't have this type of equipment, you can still do it just by hand. In the beginning of the process, we need to make sure that the butter is slightly soft. So you can either way put it few seconds in the microwave, or if it's okay, you can just leave it for 10-15 minutes at room temperature, and it's gonna be alright for the mixing process. So placing first into my mixing bowl the butter, and then we add the remaining of the powders over the butter. And then simply mixing all the ingredients with the paddle attachment. After combining all the ingredients together, we can see that we have a pretty smooth dough. There is no more pieces of butter, and it is just mixed normally. We don't need to emulsify or mix it for a long time. So just like this, it is enough. Okay, so now the texture is ready. We can simply remove the paddle attachment. Now we have a pretty nice texture. It's gonna be the time to spread out between 2 baking papers. So we just take a baking paper, simply, and then we put everything in the middle. And then simply with a rolling pin, and we close our baking paper. At least you can do it very cleanly at home, and there is no extra flour on the side. And then we just press it gently to have a regular and thin layer. It will be just more convenient to bake it. The shape actually of the dough doesn't really matter. It is just a matter about getting the right thickness to bake it easily. Then anyway, after we just crush it one more time after the dough is baked. So we can see that we just have a very thin layer, something like 0.5 millimeter. It will be enough for this step. So then, as soon as the dough is well spread out between 2 baking papers, we can just leave it into the freezer. At home, if you want to do this step much earlier, let's say if you have 10 minutes of your time one day, you can just make it and keep it into the freezer. And then you can bake it at any time you want. So this one, just keep it into the freezer. After freezing your sablé dough, you can see that the dough is already set. It is now time to bake it. You can just set up your oven around 150 degrees and we'll bake it for 20 to 25 minutes and just getting a nice golden brown color. So see you in 20 to 25 minutes. For this recipe of cheesecake, we are gonna make first a pastry cream. So the pastry cream will be composed of milk with vanilla flavor. We want to get a nice and intense and rich flavor of vanilla. Combining with yolks, we use brown sugar cassonade to get some caramelized flavor, and also the cornstarch to finalize this part. The second part of the recipe, of course, will be mainly composed of cream cheese and also a little bit of mascarpone. Also adding some cream to get something much softer with yolks, cassonade sugar, and also a little bit of flour at the end. So the first part of the process, we'll start to cook the pastry cream, pour into our blender, and then add the remaining ingredients and blend it one more time to create the Basque cheesecake. So if you are ready, let's get started. First of all, we are gonna do the process for the pastry cream. We're gonna place first our milk into our saucepan. We can start to heat up gently. At the same time we are heating up our milk, we will scrape the vanilla bean. So just a little bit of vanilla, we just cut it and open it. We press it and we can remove all the vanilla seeds in the middle. Then we can place it with our hot milk. After you use the vanilla bean, you can either way infuse into the milk if you want to infuse it overnight, or you can just simply dry it and create like a nice vanilla powder by just blending it when the vanilla skin is dry. Now we are gonna bring to boil our milk with the vanilla, and it is better to let infuse as much as possible. If you can make it earlier and then just cover with a plastic film, it will be much better to let infuse the vanilla. We are now boiling the milk. We'll be able to strain it. It is quite important to respect these steps to remove the skin of the vanilla and just keep the whole vanilla without any skin on the outside. So for this step, we'll use a strainer to remove the skin of the vanilla. We simply strain it. And then we just press to remove the skin and just keep the vanilla seeds into the milk. It is quite important to respect these steps because the skin from the vanilla is not that nice for the taste and also for the texture of your Basque cheesecake. Now we have our infused vanilla milk. It is now time to cook our pastry cream. So we can put everything back into the saucepan. And then we can bring to boil one more time. While we are boiling our milk, we are going to use exactly the same container to place first yolks. Then we're going to add the first quantity of sugar. You can use either way the brown sugar or also dark, very dark sugar if you want, or just the plain white sugar. We choose this brown sugar because it goes very well with the vanilla. You will get something very caramelized and the flavor will be really amazing.